Perfect. So this is we're a little bit similar to Terra Zero, and this is a quick commercial on who Metaverse Group is today. And so these are some of the companies we've worked with. You can see the type of 3D scenes and games that we've built. You have Forever 21, which is one of our customers, UPS Store, Miami Fashion Week, our Music Hub, amongst other things. And so it really gives you a feel. It really feels, even in a desktop experience, which this is in, it really actually feels like you're living and breathing it. So what is the metaverse? And I think that's a question that gets asked all the time. And so go back to a very basic definition of what the metaverse is. And so to us at the Metaverse Group, it's really just any 3D immersive and interactive experience. And so that can happen on a platform like the blockchain platforms that have been talked about, like Decentraland or Sandbox or places like that. It can also happen in places like Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, games that many of the people attending today may play as well, or Spatial, which is another great platform. And so anything that is 3D, immersive, and interactive is, our view, the beginning of the metaverse. And so how did we get here? If we look back into the 1950s and 70s, we dealt with read-only, text-only type infrastructures back then. Then the evolution of the personal computer, really mid-90s to late 90s, as we saw the internet come into place, and we had web browsers, and we had to start to have read and write capabilities. And then the mobile internet led us to apps and socials and monetization via ads. And metaverse is really just all about spatial immersive experiences. And it's also about the creators and the opportunity, you as individuals, people on this call, anyone, to actually create and monetize for themselves. And I'll talk a little bit further about that as well. So this kind of goes to Web3 and what is Web3. So there's been a bunch of talk about, I would say, 95% of the web pages that we visit are controlled by 1% of the companies. And so there's some brilliant large technology companies, Amazon, Microsoft, etc. I don't need to name the names of the companies. I think we all know who they are, that are really dominating the space. And I don't think that was the intention at the beginning. And Web3 is a chance to decentralize, and it's a piece of technology that allows you or I to actually monetize on our own using different platforms or other items. Another great example is again a very similar number is I think it's around 90% of the apps that are in the App Store today are by 1% of the developers. And so again, these are chances where we can really change with Web3 the way the paradigm has historically been or has been in recent time. Is there a difference between Web3 and Metaverse? Absolutely. So Web3 is, as I kind of said, it's all about social formation, governance, ownership, where Metaverse is about technology and its proliferation and its platforms. Again, I mentioned some of those platforms, and you don't necessarily need to be involved in Web3, i.e. Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, etc., to participate in those games or those platforms. And we're seeing many opportunities, or many more companies that are really interested in doing different events, and whether those are concerts or just showing off their new fashion or whatever it may be in a game-like scenario like a Roblox, which is fun for all of us to play with, and allows us to learn more about a brand and learn more about what the brand is producing and what they're about. And so you're seeing an embracing of that. And the reason, frankly, is because they're evolving. We're evolving from a social world to a gaming world. So current applications of the metaverse, just to further that conversation. So, these are some of the brands that have participated in the metaverse. Everyone probably knows most of these brands, or if they don't, they're obviously large leading brands. And you can see new ones every day that are joining different metaverse activations. So the first simple one that I always talk about is e-commerce. And so, there has been a proliferation of digital wearables and the use of digital wearables in the metaverse. And so, I like to say this, and it's a little bit different because I'm not in person today, is typically I think about what I wear when I'm going to speak at a conference. And in fact, I think about it so much that I go and typically spend some time with my 16-year-old daughter, and she says, "Dad, that doesn't look so good. Dad, that looks great." And it's going to be no different in the world, in the digital world, because we're going to care about, just like we care about in the real world, our image, what we look like, how we want to present ourselves. But really, what really gets cool about this, in my mind, is in the next iteration where you actually are able to try on, and there are technologies coming that will allow you to try on this digital good in a physical experience, or like it would fit you in a physical world, and be able to buy it and ultimately ship that that physical good to your house. And at the same time, you'll have a digital minted wearable that will be similar or the same to what that physical good is, which I think is pretty cool. And then you add in, we talked a little bit in the last panel, the Apple glasses, and you'll get an opportunity. Maybe you'll be wearing your Apple glasses inside a store. Store's busy. You see a shirt that you like, and instead of standing in line, you get a chance to use those extended reality glasses and see what it looks like on you, and say, I'm going to buy it, and literally it's shipped to your home in the next 24 hours. So lots of applications, a lot of interesting ways for e-commerce to evolve. One example of e-commerce that we were involved with was what Forever 21, and I know the last guys were talking about how deeply immersive these experiences are. We had over 74 million media impressions for that store. On average, people spent 27 minutes in the store, and as well, they came back about 5+ times. 25% of the users came back 5+ times. Entertainment, there's been lots of concerts inside the metaverse, inside different metaverses. You see the Deadmau in front of you, and Travis Scott. There's a ton to meet, and then again, to mention that's something that is just proliferating as well. And I think what you're going to see is, even again, getting into these AR applications or extended reality applications is, maybe you're watching the concert, you get to watch it with your friend that happens to be sitting in another part of the world, but at the same time, I'm a Bruce Springsteen fan. Bruce is talking to me, in this deeply immersive experience about what he was thinking as he was playing the song, or the background to Born in the USA, or whatever that song may be. And so I think that really will change the experience. And while I still love, in fact, I was talking about this today, I love a real live concert, in real world concert. This will be make it a uniquely different experience. Digital twins has gotten some pretty good, what I would call interest as well. We built a store for a company called KB Home, which is the 7th largest home builder in the United States, and really it was a digital twin of their sales center and 3 model homes, because they build model homes. And so you walked in, you met their non-player character, Lynn. She told you a little bit about KB Home. You saw a video, and then what was really cool, or all of it was cool, but what was especially cool, is you could then walk into the house, the different 3 model houses, choose which one you wanted to walk in, change the front of the house, change the countertops, change the floors, and really customize it to what you want. And ultimately, you could take that, print that off, and walk into a real sales center, or email the KB Home team and get going on building a home for yourself. Another great example is real world planning. So this is the Hong Kong International Airport. This is an integration of where AI, Metaverse, and Internet of Things all came together. They built this airport in a Metaverse scenario. They are able to control the flow of baggage for anyone that flies through Pearson. I'm sure they would appreciate that. And they're using all this different technology combined to have a much more efficient airport. So NFTs. So, I talked a little bit about NFTs before, but I think it's an important piece of the Web3 metaverse piece as well, because I think metaverse is where NFTs and everything comes together. And so, phase 1 of the NFTs, you see some nice PFPs here, pictures here, JPEGs. It was really about CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and other things, and some of those are great projects, or both of those are great projects, but they really didn't have a ton of utility. And I know the guys from TerraZero were talking about that last time, and that was a problem. But irregardless of the lacking of utility, here's some interesting numbers to look at that people have lost sight of, is that Nike in total has sold over 1.3 billion of the artifact running shoes. 185 million has went to Nike. The rest has occurred in the secondary market, and Nike gets a piece of every secondary transaction, between 5 and 10% of each shoe that is sold. And if we look down the list, you can see some amazing companies like Dolce Gabbana, like Tiffany, that have all participated in this. And if you listen to some of where they intend to go, and think about where they intend to go, it's going to be much more than just a PFP. And I think one thing that really resonated with me in the last conversation was the concept of, this isn't about one activation or one event or one NFT drop. If you're really serious about this is about a 3 to 5 year plan. And it's today looking at these, what I would call relatively basic 3D immersive experiences and saying, what happens when, the Apple Vision Pros come out? How is that going to change the world? How is extended reality going to change the world? How am I going to sell my things? And I think the companies that are really interested in this, and are leaders and want to be leaders, are really thinking about that. And certainly the conversations we have with companies that are our clients, they're definitely thinking about this quite a bit. So the future of NFTs is collaborations, is 3Ds, is gaming systems, all those types of things. But much more important is the utility. And one thing I'll come back, which also always gets lost when we talk about NFTs, is NFTs is just a piece of technology. It's a piece of technology where you can uniquely identify something. It's supply and demand. When it's been sold. And so it's a very valuable tool that can be used for so many different things, as opposed to hyper speculation that sometimes it gets lost in. And here are a couple great examples of things that or companies and ways that I think this is being changed. So Night.Swoosh is an NFT marketplace. They've recently announced a bunch of different things. And so it's a marketplace where you or I or anyone can go and buy a digital good or a digital collectible. And that digital collectible could be, I don't know, a pair of Jordans that you love, that might be similar to the physical shoe that you have. And you go and buy a couple of those, and what happens is Nike now knows that you have those in your wallet, and they come back to you and say, hey, are you interested in a special event with the designer of that shoe? Or, hey, those are Giannis Antetokounmpo's shoes. Are you interested in a special Zoom call with Giannis Antetokounmpo because you've now bought 10 of his different shoes? And so I think this is where Nike really is thinking about uniquely, is because it's not just about selling a PFP. It's about building a community. It's about building relationships with your customers. And many brands and big corporations today feel that the customers have been taken away from them, disintermediated by those big technology companies that I was referring to at the beginning. And this is a chance for them to directly market and talk to their customers on a one-to-one basis. Another great example is the Odyssey, which, the Starbucks loyalty program, which many people have probably heard about. Unfortunately, here in Canada, you can't sign up for it, nor the Nike one for that matter. But it's really, again, trying to take their loyalty program to the next level. And what I mean by that is, effectively, it's giving you what they call digital collectibles. It's unique art. You'll carry it in your wallet, so much more than what you get off your Starbucks app today. And as you buy more and build out more digital collectibles with them, you'll get more unique experiences. So instead of a free cup of coffee or a free sandwich, as you typically get with Starbucks, maybe because I've done so much, I get a free trip to wherever they're making their coffee or grinding their coffee, or I get a special store visit or a special visit with someone who's one of the roasters. And so again, all those types of experience where they're really trying to get deeper with you. And Starbucks has, obviously, as we all know, created an amazing loyalty program. The fact that they're interested in NFTs and really interested in getting deeper and deeper with their customers shows that I believe, or certainly we believe in the Metaverse Group, that these loyalty programs are only going to continue to grow and the use cases are only going to continue to go. I talked a lot about loyalty. And so I think where we're going from here is all this technology is unique. I don't know where it's going to end, and hence the comment about recursive innovation. I don't think anyone could have told you as many people would be carrying their mobile phones today that are and would be banking and doing as many things as we all do on our mobile phones today when they were first introduced. I was actually one of the people that got to take BlackBerry public, and I can tell you as a banker back there and the technology world, I don't think any of us, and I remember walking around our offices where people would say, there's no way anyone would use a pager as their phone. And obviously that changed very quickly, just like when iPhone or Apple first launched their phone, people said, well, you're not going to want to tap on the keyboard the way we do today. And you're not going to want all these apps. You're never going to use any of those apps. Well, obviously all of those comments were not correct. And so I think we're just at the beginning of a huge paradigm shift that's being driven by unique technologies, including AI, that's going to make this easier and make it more deploy in a much more rapid fashion. So that's my formal part.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that, Lorne. I was just actually typing a question in the chat.
And just
We're
stop.
gonna.
Sorry, stop sharing.
All right. Awesome. Cool. So involved in Metaverse. And we're gonna see. Yeah, that'll do. Cool. So I had a couple of questions there. So again, thanks so much for the content. Hand clap emojis, love heart eyeball emojis from me, and please, audience, show Lorne some love there. Oh, there we go. A flourish. Look at it
Thank
all.
you.
Outstanding. Love that. Cool. So question time. Let me jump to my question. Yeah, cool. So first question I had. As soon as you mentioned, oh, Nike swoosh, I'm like, oh, I'll check it out. Not available in Canada. Starbucks is not available in Canada. One, why is that? And two, are there any Canadian retailers or brands kind of really grabbing this technology by the horns and going with it?
So great question. Most of what we've seen and most of who we've worked with is unfortunately American or European customers. We just haven't had as much with Canadian. We've definitely had interest. We've definitely had conversations with Canadian retailers and Canadian companies, including real estate companies, but we just haven't done anything yet. I think it will come. Typically, my experience is Canada is just slower to adopt, or certainly their companies are slower to adopt. They have less budgets for, call it more experimental marketing and more experimental processes. But I genuinely believe it's coming and it will come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So just maybe a kind of a regional kind of cultural thing of maybe less fast, not as fast to adopt as kind of European and the US appetite there. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. So great work on the Forever 21 project. That was some huge numbers. I was like, whoa, that's some serious action happening there. Curious. Data on age of users. Is it like all these little Gen Zs jumping into the metaverse to buy their clothes, or is it, yeah, do you have any insights on the use on the ages there?
So the demographics typically change from platform to platform. So Decentraland, and we don't, unfortunately, because of the wallets and the nature of crypto today, we don't have good insight to the exact demographics. Now we've talked to Decentraland. Decentraland obviously provides us information, and so we genuinely believe it was between 25 and 45 was the demographic. It is male skewed, as typically as the typical gamer is, but it that was the age group. So whereas if you look at Roblox as an example, their typical 40 some odd percent of their users are between 14 and 24 years of age. And you'll find also a skew towards the male, but not as much a skew to the male.
Yeah, interesting there. And Nem, haven't forgotten about you there, mate. Let's throw these curly questions in the mix there. I hear NFTs only hold a text chunk or reference, not actually media in raw form. In that sense, is it really a new file format or a way to track other formats? Do they differ from traditional databasing where it comes from loyalty programs?
So I think the answer to the question is it's not an easy question to answer. Is it really a different format? I believe it is, and I believe it is a different format because you're actually having a open, call it place in the blockchain where we can all see what's happening and what's trading. You don't see that in loyalty programs. You don't see that in traditional databases. So I can tell you that, I don't know, again, I'll pick on CryptoPunks. I apologize. What they've traded for, who's traded it. I can get all that information because it's all open sourced and it's all on the blockchain. And I think that's an important distinction, an important difference in using these NFTs. I think that type of mechanism, especially when you start to get into secondary markets, which is another really interesting application. There's certainly a proliferation of secondary market stores, for example, today for clothes and other things like that. Vintage stuff. I think there's going to be some really cool stuff that comes out of that where there's going to be some amazing marketplaces and you'll tag that stuff so you know that it's real. Someone's won through it, confirm it's real. You'll see the last price it traded for. And that could be really interesting information, whether that's a vintage pair of Nikes or really just the sweatshirt that I'm wearing, here tonight.
Yeah, I just jumping on there as well with what some you mentioned, Lorne, and to kind of give my 2 cents on Nem's question there. Hashtag my opinion, NFTs definitely fit the category of a file format. It's that digital asset. If I sent this was the example when I was first noob into the kind of the Web3 world, and my friend Quinn, who is a big blockchain guy, he said that was kind of introducing me to the world of NFTs. He's like, if I send you a GIF, I'm sending you a copy of that GIF. If I send you that GIF as the NFT, you get the actual. I don't have it anymore. I've given it to you, and that transfer of ownership is the whole use case. It's the core value of an NFT is that ownership status of it, and the fact that there's so much you can do. I think you saw the thing with Spotify that you mentioned, Lorne, around kind of music rights and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to track, and with the Nike swoosh things. Also, that was some crazy numbers. It was like I wrote it down, like 185 million in like NFT sales for their shoes. That's insane. Like that, I don't know if they'd make that much on like. I mean, I'm not a shoe guy or sneaker guy, but that seems like a huge profit stream or revenue stream, which I can see why now all these retailers are like, hey, we need to like. There's an appetite for this stuff. Yeah, so it's some really impressive numbers there.
Yeah, so I fully agree. There's appetite for this stuff, and look, frankly, this has been existing in different formats, kind of to Nem's question, in different ways for a while. So if you have skins that sell on Fortnite and Roblox that have been selling for a long time, and the dollar numbers are, it's in the public domain for Roblox. The dollar numbers are quite outstanding. So there's no surprise. It's now, and you get deep in with the gamers, like it's really important to them what sword they're carrying or other things like that, and so it's now ingrained in our culture, and as the demographics do change, we've talked about a little bit earlier, and the younger generation continues to grow older, and they're getting more active in this. They're used to this. They want to own this stuff in a digital format. They want to play with this stuff in a digital format, and that's how they're going to shop. That's how they're going to transact. And I really think we're really at the beginning of the next iteration of the internet.